Hi, in this brief video I want to talk about a certain white American citizen called Taylor Force. This took place probably on the 8th of March of 2016, as far as I can recall. Now, the National Council of Young Israelis issued the following statement after yesterday's terrorist attack in Jaffa, the port of Jaffa, where a Palestinian Arab murdered Taylor Force, a white American graduate student visiting Israel. He used to be a US Army veteran, and he was wounded and the same Arab wounded nearly a dozen others, including the slain American's wife and a pregnant woman. At the time of the stabbing attack, which was perpetrated by an Arab Palestinian, Vice President Joe Biden was meeting with the former Israeli President Shimon Peres not far from the scene of the carnage. Now, no one's ever heard about this. Now, the National Council of Israel extended its heartfelt condolences to the family of Mr. Taylor Force, a white American graduate student who sadly became the latest US citizen to lose his life during a deadly terrorist attack perpetrated by Palestinian Arabs in Israel. We extend our deepest appreciation to Vice President Joe Biden for his swift and unequivocal condemnation of yesterday's terrorist attacks, and we are grateful for his declaration that there can be no justification for this violence, and that the US stands firmly behind Israel's right to defend herself. Well, of course, that's what Joe Biden said. Now, Joe Biden's boss thinks otherwise, but that's a different matter. Against any acts of terror. Aside from Vice President's denunciation of the attacks, it appears that the rest of the international community has become immune to the daily loss of Israeli life and the terror that has been permeated every corner of the Jewish state, as evidenced by the world's definite silence to the wake of the ongoing outbreak of violence. Turning a blind eye to terror is antithetical to the tenets of a civilized society and cannot be deemed acceptable. Now, the fact that the Palestinian Authority chairman Mahmoud Abbas, who was supposed to be a moderate politician, supposedly, whose words and deeds encourage these attacks. Now, let's say that again. Whose words and deeds encourage these attacks. That's Mahmoud Abbas. Says nothing while his fanatic colleague praises Taylor Force's senseless murder and calls his killer a Palestinian martyr. Let's say that again. Mahmoud Abbas's words and deeds encourage these attacks, and his fanatic colleagues praise Taylor Force's senseless murder and call his killer a Palestinian martyr. Now, as Vice President Joe Biden said, this cannot be viewed by civilized leaders as an appropriate way to behave. It is just not tolerable in the 21st century. Now, Mahmoud Abbas needs to step up and take concrete steps to curb the incitement and end the cycle of violence aimed at innocent men, women and children instead of praising terrorists. Let's say that again. Mahmoud Abbas praises terrorists. Let's say that again. Mahmoud Abbas praises terrorists. Now, this time for inaction and indifference is over. It's time that the Palestinian Authority faces serious economic consequences for its actions after its repeated failure to halt the murder and mayhem aimed at Israel and white American citizens, because apart from Taylor Swift, there was another American woman. I can't remember her name. So this took place in the 8th of March, and now, during July, Erdogan, the crazy dictator of Turkey, who's one of the main financiers of the Pseudo Palestinians, there's no such thing as Palestine, was nearly overthrown in a coup. So the Palestinians were worried that they would lose their bucks, their hard bucks. Right. So perhaps Joe Biden was sincere in what he said when he was meeting with Shimon Peres and when the Taylor Force thing occurred. But some people above Joe Biden perhaps are not that sincere. Certainly Mahmoud Abbas is not that sincere, and certainly Erdogan is not sincere. No, all this. Taylor Force, no one's ever heard about this. And I wonder, when Joe Biden was having an official lunch with Simon Peres, was Joe Biden informed of that when the 11th September attack took place, when the Twin Towers fell in New York? The Palestinians were handing out candies and having parties, celebrating the fact that white Americans, white Europeans, Westerners, Christians were being slaughtered by jihadis, Saudi, Kuwaiti, whatever, in New York in the Twin Towers. They were having parties, they were handing out candies. Now, was Joe Biden informed of this? Right. Mr. Taylor Force, 29 years old.